anxiety, pain management, stress, all of these things that we talk about openly now. Well, psychologist Dr. Sue Varma joins us, and cardiologist Dr. Tiffany Sizemore are both with us. Thanks for joining us. Dr. Tiffany, you said that instead of opioids, you've prescribed marijuana in many cases.
Yeah, a lot of the times I refer to a medical marijuana clinic. I mean, the opioid epidemic in this country is a big problem. The problem with opioids is their addictive potential. And it's a very small range where someone could be on an opiate for a week and they become addicted to it, and then they're looking for heroin on the streets. Yeah. Whereas marijuana has a very low addictive profile. And we see it more in teenagers and young kids. That's why we try and avoid prescribing it to teenagers and kids. But for adults, the addictive profile is so low, and it can cure or get help with pain. It can help with anxiety. So many things it can really help with without having to worry about that addictive potential.
Dr. Sue, you know, over 40 million Americans suffer from anxiety. As we now talk openly about cannabis and the use of marijuana, we've gone from these stereotypes from the Cheech and Chong to the rapper to all these memes that were never real to now women of all backgrounds being able to openly say, this is what's helping me function.
Absolutely. And you know, 55% of Americans are saying that they're feeling stressed throughout the day. Anxiety disorders are the #1 mental health disorders, and they affect women more than they affect men. And in fact, people that are using cannabis are telling you between 50 and 80% of them admit that they're taking it for anxiety, for depression, for sleep problems, for stress. What we do know is that in short-term, smaller doses, marijuana can be helpful for having treatment for anxiety. However, we don't know about the long-term consequences, specifically for depression, and it can make it worse for some people.
But alcohol, for example, if you drink alcohol, that's a depressant, right? So if you're already depressed and then you add alcohol into it, you're not helping yourself.
No. And this is the problem, is what we're talking about, what you're referring to is self-medication. And a lot of people do it. A lot of my patients use alcohol or marijuana to feel better. But what we want to do is look at a wider range of coping mechanisms. I don't have a problem if somebody on a one-off basis says that this is something that makes me feel better in the short term.
Right.
But I'm concerned that if you don't have more flexible coping mechanisms, what's happening in the home? Are we having dialogue with our partner? Are we getting the resources? Are we getting
What's the source of some of this pressure, stress, and anxiety?
Yes, and if you're not dealing with the root problem, it's just going to get worse.
That's a great point. Absolutely. That is, you know what, we have to bring that up. As I said, Dr. Tiffany, one of my girlfriends is a cannabis counselor. Before I was pregnant with Moses, she's like, okay, here's this coffee bean, and it just relaxes me. And she's like, I do yoga, I feel so relaxed. I took it, and my husband came home and was like, who are you? I was like sprawled in the bed, and I was like, what just happened to me? I don't know myself. I had another experience, and it was very mild, very chill. It was in the smoke form.
Right.
I hope I didn't just confess to a crime, but I won't tell the state I was in. With that said, I felt completely different. But most important to me, I don't want to be on anything having a 5-month-old. And that was what was worrying me. If something happened, I wouldn't be able to react to Moses fast enough.
So this is something to remember. There's different strains. This is a plant that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And so there's hybrids and there's strains. So an easy way to remember it for you, for instance, is indica is more of the suppressant, kind of puts you to sleep, like in the couch, indica.
Okay.
And sativa is more of the stimulant.
Yeah.
And so,
but does it work the same way in everyone's body?
Not necessarily, no. Those strains are known to have those separate properties, but there's tinctures, and you can do 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, and so you can kind of...
Now I feel like Breaking Bad episode. I'm trying to measure, I don't know.
But it goes to the point of regulation, right? So if you're getting this off the street, you have no idea what you're getting. If you're getting it in a dispensary, correct. If you're getting it in a dispensary, then they can tell you, listen, this is 1-to-1. This is probably what the effect you're going to get. And you can play with it a little bit. And that goes back to medical marijuana, too. There are physicians that help you through this process, right?
Well, and to your point, Dr. Farmer, last but not least, again, dealing with the root problem of whatever it is in life has to be addressed. We can't just keep putting Band-Aids. That's how we got into this opioid addiction in the first place. So thank you both for your insight.